comments host Sunny Hostin made about Nikki Haley's name earlier this week.
I'd love to see Nikki Haley. I'd love to see Liz Cheney. I'd love to see
Nikki Haley, the chameleon.
Nikki Haley was an incredibly effective governor of South Carolina.
Again?
So I just want to be careful about critiquing her for going by the name she's always gone by.
There's some of us that can be chameleons and decide not to embrace our ethnicity so that we can pass.
Sunny, I don't think that's fair.
You go by a different name.
Yeah, I don't.
And now Senator Tim Scott, who has been the victim of similar attacks, says this is just the left's way trying to demoralize GOP minorities.
I can't imagine that in America today that Sunny's having a conversation about Nikki Haley's name. The fact of the matter is that when you see strong, powerful, positive minorities standing up on the conservative side, the left always wants to hit and demoralize, diminish our impact. I can't think of a worse situation to see on TV than someone who doesn't go by her own name, talking about Nikki Haley, whose name is Nikki Haley.
As usual, Jackie, Senator Scott gets it exactly right. It's about demoralizing GOP minorities, both in leadership and those who have changed their party affiliation. A Wall Street Journal poll showed that where Democrats had a 34-point advantage with Latinos, it's now 11 points. That's a pretty significant shift.
It really is. And I think what Hostin is doing here, you know, she says she's a champion for women and minority women, women of color, and yet she's attacking somebody who never tried to whitewash her heritage or do anything. She's been very open about it. And in fact, she's been a very effective leader. And essentially what Sunny is doing by attacking her is setting the women's movement back. Just because you don't agree with her point of view, just because you don't want to see her get ahead because her views don't align with yours, doesn't mean that you attack her and you manufacture something out of nothing completely. But this shows you how wokeism has just kind of, you know, it's to the point of what we were talking about with Stacey Abrams as well. People could say such extreme things, and American people may just see a headline. They may not know really what's behind it. They'll believe it, and they'll take that to the polls with them. And the Democrats try to take advantage of that, and they make these outrageous statements that are essentially not factually based.
Yeah, no, that's right. And Emily, we've seen these attacks so much. We have an array of headlines displaying them. The Hill, Senator Scott, when he was called Uncle Tim, the social media response, he called that so disappointing. Again, Senator Tim Scott, you remember when Dick Durbin essentially called him a token, or at least the policy he was putting forward called the Justice Act. NBC, there was a Texas blogger who was hired by a congressman who later renounced the blogger, but he called Myra Flores Miss Frijole, Samuel Jackson, Uncle Clarence with Clarence Thomas. The point is, these are widespread. It's not just one example from Sunny Hostin.
It's so reprehensible when you hear elected officials that are supposed to represent all Americans that are engaging in things like that level of absolutely appalling racist name calling. I mean, I expect it from vapid Hollywood celebrities, but to get it from other elected officials, from other people that are supposed to view these others as their colleagues, I'll add one more word to what Senator Scott said. He said powerful, positive of these minority GOP leaders, but I'll also add that they're not in lockstep. That they are not in lockstep with the view that certain people think that they should vote by, that they should hold, and that is why they're being vilified. Could you imagine if one of us on our couch said what Sunny did? Interjecting someone who's making a point about substance, interjecting to say, what's her real name again? That level of accusatory tone based on zero facts whatsoever. It would take 1 second to Google to learn that Nikki is her full name on the birth certificate. And the fact that now a former ambassador to the UN has to weigh in to defend that for some reason, a sitting senator has to weigh in as well, is such a sad state, in my opinion, of the impact that this vocal minority has and that expectation that is somehow acceptable that the left tells you, minority person, how to vote. And if you don't, we're going to call you an uncle. That's disgusting and that's un-American.
Yeah, well said, Jimmy, but we've seen this all too often from Sunny Hostin. All those attacks that I just laid out, Sunny Hostin has articulated several of those herself. She called the idea of a black Republican an oxymoron. When it came to Clarence Thomas, he doesn't really represent the black community, was her quote. When it came to Senator Scott, he was apparently used when he gave his rebuttal to Biden after the joint address. And Van Jones, she said people in the black community don't trust you anymore. After he partnered with the Trump administration on criminal justice reform. I mean, it's one after the other.
Well, you know, let's not discount the fact that this is the dumbest show on television. And I mean that. They are the least informed people known to man. Whoopi Goldberg once nominated Jill Biden for Surgeon General, and she's not a medical doctor. That was a real thing. I mean, let's not forget that didn't happen. Okay, she once said the Holocaust wasn't about race, and I had to apologize for that. But it's amazing that they're able to stay on the air. That being said, I'm glad, because it's how I get my son to clean his room. I'm like, socks off the floor. more or Joy Behar's coming on. But this is the thing, okay, whether it's coming from The View or it's coming from Democratic leaders. They're in a really desperate spot right now when it comes to retaining minority support, because they have demonstrated empathy as a brand to the minority community. We got your back, we're looking out for you. But as a trait, they never deliver. They're always fighting superficial battles, these straw man arguments about racism. The whole Democratic sales pitch to minorities is that we're living in the year 1822 because the Republicans don't want to promote women and black leaders and Latino leaders. So when they actually show up, the Democrats don't have much of a rebuttal other than to send Jill Biden down to Texas to call Latinos breakfast tacos, which last I checked, not the most effective thing.
Not the most effective. I've forgotten about that one. Dr. Sapphire.
The worst.
The worst.
Yeah, honestly, I can't even, watching this was just so upsetting. I mean, this just reminds me of like catty, repugnant, like a high school girls. Like, it is just disgusting to watch the way that she was attacking Nikki Haley based on absolutely nothing. Nikki Haley has won awards for being the second American Indian governor in our nation's history. She also went to the Diwali celebrations at the White House, and even though she's Christian, but she has always stood by her heritage. She's never tried to whitewash herself. She's never denied that she is American Indian. It is so unfortunate to see people who have a platform like Sunny does go and attack other people just because she doesn't like her. Like, go back to high school and get off the air, because she is unfortunately infiltrating American minds, and that is why you're seeing the extremism in people who are completely divided.
And Nikki Haley said that there would likely be no consequences. FoxNews.com reached out to The View, and The View did not return a request for comment. I bet they did not.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.